Alright guys, well, a little late to recording the video, but picked up this 2000 GMC Sierra 1500. Right now it is jacked up because I am working on it a little bit, but basically starting from nothing. If you even look, the fuel lines are even cut. So you have to get all those done, switch the fuel lines out. If you notice, there's no motor mounts at all. That actually is what these are. Big one goes on the driver's side, little one on the passenger side. But I'm going to be rebuilding this entire truck. So, well, just LS swapping it more than anything, not really rebuilding it. We'll maybe drop it, see how far we get with it, but not terrible. They were doing body work on it, but charcoal interior, manual, beautiful locking column. And then we even got a rebuild kit for the 460 that came with this truck. So looks like there's no radio at all, but stay in the office. And we have a beautiful 323 rear end. So it is open diff, but this is a work truck. So I just put the fuel pump and fuel tank in this. Yes, I know it's sketchy. Yes, I know this isn't OSHA approved. Yes, I know. But got this beauty in there. Got the lines hooked back up. Got the wires hooked up. When I bought this truck, there was no bed bolts. So just to make sure the bed wouldn't actually come flying off, I found these in the bed and used them. These are actually the motor mount bolts, but I have a whole nother set. So, but yeah, it's just basically this bolt in the bed. I've just, like I said, I'm just using it for now until I can get the bed bolts, get this thing more, further along. Got motor mounts. I do have a motor to go in this. I do have a harness. I have reservoir. I have to get all the AC stuff because I do not have any of it. I have to get the heater stuff because I do not have any of it. I have to take that harness off right there. Like I said, take those fuel lines off, and kind of go from there. All right, so next up we have the motor mounts. So like I said, this is the driver. If you look, you'll see the nut is actually welded to it, and that goes, like I said, on the driver's side, just like that. The nut will always go forward. So if you're ever curious on which way it goes, just nuts always go forward. So I'm gonna get on that, pop these in real quick, and come right back. Just gotta hop it on just like that. Each bolt runs through a channel that's in there. So pretty much dummy proof. Then you go ahead and get your hand near the impact. And then now we just copy the same thing over to the other side. All right, so as you see, we got both of these in, driver's side and passenger side, both tightened all the way up. Now, if you're ever wondering what it takes to LS swap a vehicle, first thing is start up the motor mounts. V6, V8 motor mounts. All you have to do, if you have a V6 truck, you unbolt these. They are 18s, heads in the back. They're 18s, you undo them. If you have a V6, you throw your mounts away, and then you can go to the junkyard and find a single cab, V8, extended cab, V8, as long as it's a two-wheel drive truck, they'll transfer right over. Tahoes, Suburbans, Yukons, you can't really use those because they are based off of a four-wheel drive frame. But two-wheel drive motor mounts, bolt them in. Now all you have to do is bolt up the other mounts to the motor, drop them in, have your 6 bolts, just plop right in place, bolt it on down. So see if we can get a motor out of the Blazer that we have over here. It is an 88. It was going to be an LS swap, but things changed direction, so we will be pulling the motor out of that and setting it in here. It'll be a little 4.8, maybe put the 60 behind it, have to get a drive shaft, put all the front end pieces together. So see what we get into next. All right, so got the little 4.8. There's a 4.8, it's not a 5.3. 4.8 out of the Blazer here. Does have the LS swap harness and everything. I was going to LS swap it, but things changed, so just gonna use this for the blue truck now. Put a little 4.8 in it, see what we can do with it. I have to take the mounts and stuff off, put the factory motor mounts back on, look for bolts and stuff like that. Maybe clean this up, try and get it in the truck. I got a bunch of dirt daubers and other miscellaneous things I have to take care of before it can go in the truck. All right, so went back across the core support, touched it up, painted it up, which premature, you know, but I wanted it to be all black. I'm super freaking OCD about that. The previous guy already had everything else painted black, so it's kind of like might as well, you know, everything's already fucking black. Might as well just throw this thing in there. I did end up painting this black too. It was blue, but painted it black. It needs new spark plugs, new wires. I do have an intake for it, but I'm gonna go ahead and set this thing down in there and hopefully get a harness on it tomorrow or the next day, but slowly making progress. So I got it in here and was having a problem with the back bolts, but all they did was just unhook the front and then use the back to just kind of pull it up a little bit while it was still here. I missing one bolt on the other side, but have to go to the junkyard to get those. Intake, harness, and back together it goes. All right, guys. Well, we're on to the next day. Going to try and make this all just one video, but for me, this is my second day working on it. I do just work on it after work, so some days I get more time, other days I get less time. Just is what it is. But today we're going to be putting on the harness. So first things first, I'm going to have to get a 7mm and take this off here, this black one, which is the engine harness, and get that out of there. This was a V6 truck, so this was the V6 block, but we're going to get that swapped out, put the V8 harness on, put an intake on this, get everything kind of wrapped up the best we can, and go from there. So quick update, got the harness mainly on. Basically, see, has these little clips. Basically start off at the first one that you see, goes to the first one. Yes, it's not all the way on, but that clip's also broken, and this goes all the way down. The old harness is still there. I have to take it off, but I'm just gonna put that one on while I'm down there. I also ran the starter wire. I don't know if you can see that down there. Plugged in the oil level sensor and also the crank sensor, which is that sensor right there. So, and that's it for the back of the motor, sensor wise. Once you come up to the front a little bit more, as you see, you have the AC plugs. These just kind of sit here on this little plastic tray, and then I'm going to show you that. Now if you look, see there's a 10mm right there. It's a plastic tray. Can't really see. Let me see if I can get it better. That right there, there's a little plastic pin that slides into the oil pan, and that's how it connects right there. But once that's there, then you have the accessory drive that sits right here. This bolts on it, this clips into this, and that holds on to your power cable. And then that right there is another ground that is going to go on the side of the block right over here. Trying to get a better angle, but not only that, there's also a ground on the back of the motor. I chose to tie them two together and put them here, but the way they come from the factory, you'll have the right side, which is this one, go here, and then this, which is the driver's side, which is the grounds and everything for the transmission, usually goes back here on the back of the block. Right, let me see if I can find it. Right here. But next up, now that we got that done, I do have to plug in the oil pressure sensor, but then I can put the intake on. I do have to clean up around here a little bit. I don't really care about this motor too much, so it going together dirty doesn't bother me that much at all. If it blows up, I don't really care. It's just a 4.8 that I basically got for free. So we're going to see how hard I can send it in this little truck. So on to the next. I got a little ahead of myself here, but remember the harness, this is all still to it. I did get the intake on. I have not plugged them in because the injector's in, because the injectors actually have water there, so I have to blow them out and put dielectric grease in there, get them all cleaned out. Have the fuel rail, but I do have to get the fuel line hooked up. It is not hooked up. The one down there is still cut, but have to get alternator and then bolt this back to the serpentine bracket. And then, like I said, black plug, it's the main one from the harness, goes here in the middle, tighten it with a 7mm. And then after that, it's actually kind of simple once you get in here. You have the blue plug that comes from this harness with purple tape. You have this black one with green tape. I see purple, see purple, green, and there's no green. Oh, actually, here it is. Here's the green. But go ahead and connect all your connections inside here and go from there. Get this all buttoned up, and we'll see about getting a cover on it, getting a starter in, buttoning up the rest of the motor so that way we could try and fire it. So I did end up getting the starter put in, got kind of everything else buttoned up, got the harness kind of buttoned up. I do still have to run that little bit through the frame and everything, obviously hook this up, but I do need a fuel line, so I haven't done anything because of that. I have turned it over though, so I can't show you guys. Like, it is turning over. I have the fuel pump disconnected because, like I said again, there's a fuel line that's cut, so I have to change that. But it does. Now, don't get me wrong, definitely does sound not that great, but it's just the flywheel and the starter, so not too worried about that. Hopefully we can get the fuel line within the next day or so, get all this buttoned up. I am going to leave the injector harnesses disconnected because they do have water in them, and I do have to blow those out still. But that is all I have to do. And like I said, cold air kit, still a lot to do actually, but this is just to see if I can get this thing running. Hear it run a little bit for a couple seconds. I didn't plan on running this at all. As you see, there's no manifolds. It's not even a spark plug. Spark plugs are broke off. So literally just turned it over to make sure that it wasn't locked up, and it wasn't. So happy to see that, happy to hear that. And now, like I said, just waiting on fuel line. I have to get a cold air kit for it, put the radiator back in it, put the reservoir on it, try and start buttoning this thing up, figure out what I'm gonna do for an exhaust. It is crusty, it is dusty, it is also rusty, but it is getting the job done, and it will get the job done, which is all that matters.